is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. In this video, we're going over my July quarterback rankings. We have training camps starting up next week for all 32 teams, so this is a good time to just kind of crack up our QB rankings and get us ready before things start to shift a little bit. So I did a video back in June. I'm doing this now on July 22nd. I'll do another update on all these videos in August, maybe, the second or third week of training or preseason. That way, most of the preseason stuff has taken its course and we can get you guys some accurate rankings. But let's go ahead and hop into a screen share here. We're doing just the quarterbacks in this video, and I'm going to be knocking out the running backs, receivers, and tight ends this weekend. So I got a lot of video content for you guys, and you can view all of this stuff for free at thefantasyfellowship.com. I'm going to put a link in the comments, I think, for this. But if you go to the 2023 playbook, I got everything in here you need. We got rankings, we got projections, cheat sheets, by team, advanced projections, and articles, and everything's on here. So I will be updating these rankings here. And what we're going to do, I'm going to do this draft format. Where basically I have my QB rankings empty on the left, and we're going to be doing basically I'm going to draft the QBs how I would take them in fantasy here. So we're going to start with QB1, and I'm going to kind of do this in tiers. So this is tier number 1, and I think there's 3 quarterbacks that belong in this tier. And the ADP that you see here on the far right, I've pulled this off of Drafters Best Ball. We'll kind of use that as our guidelines here. But the top 3 QBs are Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and Josh Allen. You can kind of take them in whatever ranking you want. I'm actually going to put Jalen Hurts as my overall QB1. And I just think that he is probably going to rush for another 800 yards, double-digit touchdowns. He's got the potent offensive weapons with Brown, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert, and I don't know. It just feels pretty good. They also lost Miles Sanders, so I'm not sure how the running backs are going to shake out, but I'm going to put Jalen Hurts as my QB1. He is my QB1 in my projections as well. Number 2, I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes. And again, we're nitpicking here. If you want Mahomes 1, go for it. They're both 2 picks away from ADP. And then I'm going to put Josh Allen as my QB3. I think Allen's the safe. He's got that high rushing floor, and he's going to throw for a lot of touchdowns and yards. So any way you want it, this is my tier 1 of quarterbacks: Jalen Hurts, Mahomes, and Josh Allen. I like Mahomes a lot. I think his weapons are going to be improved this year. Second year Sky Moore, full year Kadarius Toney. They drafted Rashee Rice, another year of MVS in the offense. They got some good weapons on offense, along with Travis Kelce as well. So those are my top 3, all in a tier by themselves. And then this second tier is going to be pretty interesting. I think you can make a case for Lamar Jackson as the 4th QB off the board, and he is by a good ADP margin on Joe Burrow, Fields, and Herbert. But I'm gonna put Joe Burrow as my QB4. I think he offers a little bit more security and safety. We expect him to play a full 17-game season, whereas Lamar Jackson, we haven't seen it from him in a while. I am very excited about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense, but I'm gonna bake in a little bit of risk with him and put him as my QB5. So the second tier now has Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and then I'm going to continue here with Justin Herbert as my 6th QB off the board. I think Herbert is probably my favorite pick at ADP for quarterback right now, because it's not going to surprise me if he's a top 5 QB by the end of the fantasy season. I mean, 2 years ago, I think he was QB3. The dude's got a good chance at 5,000 yards and probably 35 touchdowns this season. I think he's really safe. Joe Burrow and Herbert are probably 2 of my favorite quarterbacks to draft from this tier. And then I'm going to keep going here. I think between Fields and Trevor Lawrence, you can flip-flop them any way you want. I'm going to knock the rushing quarterbacks for a little bit of their injury risk. So give me Trevor Lawrence, who's going to run for 300 or 400 yards at the most, and he's going to throw for about 4,500 yards. I want that security. And then I'm going to go ahead here and put Justin Fields as my QB8. Now, I love Justin Fields. Tremendous rushing upside. They got DJ Moore now. I still have my concerns on how much they're going to throw the football. And then again, with that injury risk, because he runs so much, he opens himself up to a little bit more harm. And at the QB position, I don't want to spend a high pick and have to miss 3, 4, 5 games. Whereas these quarterbacks like Burrow, Herbert, and Lawrence, I feel a little bit more safer with them playing a full healthy season. So this is my second tier of quarterbacks. QBs 4 through 8. You have Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, and Justin Fields. You guys can, again, this is a really close tier for me. I think you can shake it any way you want, but to be honest with you, this is my favorite tier of quarterbacks. I think you can make a case for any one of these guys to be a top 3 QB this season. And if you can grab one of these guys, what's nice about him is like Lamar's like a late third in best ball, sometimes a fourth round pick, but you can get Burrow in the fourth, you can get Herbert, Lawrence, Fields in the fifth or sixth. That's probably where I'm leaning for my 1 QB leagues this season. Now let's move it down a little bit. We're going to go into my third tier of quarterbacks, and I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson here to lead the tier off. I know he was kind of underwhelming last year, but he had a lot going on. He was suspended for the majority of the season, missed a lot of time with the team, and he comes back and he just didn't have it rolling. He did look good in this final game of the year, but I think a full off season with the team, practicing, all that good stuff, it's going to probably be a nice bounce back year for Deshaun Watson. I think he's a top 10 QB, and I like the Cleveland offense, man. They went and traded for Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper's there, Donovan Peoples-Jones, David Njoku, then they draft the rookie Cedric Tillman out of Tennessee. I think there's a lot to like in that offense, and Browns should be a team that you want to target this season. Continuing in the third tier here, I'm going to go with Miami Tua Tagovailoa. I know he's got injury concerns. If you're concerned about the concussion with Tua, I get it, but Tua is a really good deal. Any week that he's healthy, he's got top 5 upside at the position. It feels like he's a lock for a top 10. If you said he plays a full 17 games, he's a top 10 QB. And if you're nervous about Tua, you can easily grab a backup QB2, whether it's Geno Smith or Jared Goff to be your 2. If that's how you want to play it, I totally get it. Continuing in the third tier here, I'm going to put Kirk Cousins as my 11th ranked QB. When I was looking at the DraftKings projections, they have Kirk Cousins in the top 5 of passing yards and passing touchdowns. He's super safe. I think there's a rumor that might be true that the Vikings are going to pass the ball a little bit more. You got Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, first round pick Jordan Addison, and KJ Osborne. That's a great 4 group of weapons here, and they do have some running backs that could catch some passes as well. But I feel pretty good about Kirk and his passing upside this year. This one's tough. I'm going to go with Daniel Jones here as my final QB1. He's got a lot of upside with his legs as well. He's going to run the ball for about 600 yards this season, maybe a handful of touchdowns with that. But this is arguably his best group of weapons that he's going to be throwing the ball to. They went and got Darren Waller. They brought back Isaiah Hodgins, Darius Slayton, Paris Campbell they brought in free agency. They drafted the rookie Jalen Hyatt. You've got a lot to like here with Daniel Jones in year 2 of Brian Daboll's system. If you miss out on QB, man, I think you could easily, get a duo, or even like Tua and Daniel Jones would be a nice duo too, because you can play matchups with that. And then to finish off this third tier, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to put Dak Prescott here. Actually, I'm going to keep going with this tier too. I'm going to put Dak Prescott at 13, and then I'm going to put Geno Smith and Jared Goff to finish my third tier of quarterbacks. So this is ranging from QB9 to QB15. It wouldn't surprise me if Jared Goff is a top 12 QB this year. I think Jamal Williams had 17 touchdowns last year. They had a lot of times where they got tackled at the 1 and they just plowed it in from the 1 yard line. You might see some more of those touchdowns go into the passing column this year, and that would benefit Jared Goff. You also have Amon-Ra St. Brown's fantastic. We'll talk about him in the receiver video. But you have the rookie tight end, Sam Laporta, who they added. They added Jahmyr Gibbs, the rookie pass catcher, running back here. They also just brought in a couple extra pieces here in the free agency game with Marvin Jones. And then they went out and got Mims from the Jets here. So I think Mims could be a threat to help stretch the field. You also have Jameson Williams in his second year. So I like Jared Goff. Geno Smith, Seattle's offense is pretty fun. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, JSN, and Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. That's a really good group here. And then Dak Prescott. I know that the Cowboys are kind of rumored to maybe run the ball a little bit more this year. I'm not sure I'm buying that. I think they have a good group of weapons. They got Brandon Cooks in free agency. They did lose Dalton Schultz, but you got a healthy CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup, and then we'll watch for Jake Ferguson in the tight end video. But a really good group here. If you wait for QB, I'm fine with one of these guys as my starting QB1. And then after this, these guys are all probably QB2s. But I really like this group. If you wait, you could grab 2 of these guys. I think if you went in the year with like Daniel Jones and Geno, or say even Dak and Jared Goff, you can make a group work with this third tier here. But let's move on into the fourth tier of quarterbacks. I'm going to get Anthony Richardson off the board, and I get it. We don't trust him as a passer quite yet, but the dude's probably going to run for 700 yards and a handful of touchdowns. He's got the Jalen Hurts body, but he's got Lamar Jackson's agility and athleticism here. And if he can just be competent as a passer, and even if he just throws like 60% completion rate, he's going to be in for a really good season. And I do like him as my QB2. You know, if you waited for Geno Smith and you wanted to pair Anthony Richardson with him and just see what you got, it could be really fun. And he's a guy that I expect to get better as the season goes on. So Anthony Richardson at the top of tier 4. Let's go ahead and get Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Derek Carr off the board here. I like all three of these guys. They're all veterans. They don't offer a lot of rushing upside, but they're going to pass the ball pretty well. I expect to bounce back in Denver with their weapons that they got. Sean Payton's there, so I think that's going to be a good result for Russell Wilson. Aaron Rodgers in the New York Jets offense. I mean, they got tons of weapons. Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Lazard, Tyler Conklin, Corey Davis, Mecole Hardman. Rodgers is probably going to be a rock steady QB2. And then Derek Carr is kind of a sleeper. He did not have a great year with the Raiders last year. I think going to the Saints system, I love the Saints weapons, starting with Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, as long as he's healthy, Rashid Shaheed. The tight ends are pretty fun. Juwan Johnson, Taysom Hill, the running backs catch passes. I think but all three of these guys can be a low-end QB1 any given week, and they look great as your QB2. And that's kind of the end of the tier for me. Tier 4 is Anthony Richardson, Russ Wilson, Rodgers, and Derek Carr. Moving on to tier number 5, I'm going to start with Matthew Stafford. And Stafford, of course, had the injury-riddled year last year, missed half the year, missed Cooper Kupp for some of it too. I'm not super excited about the Rams offense, but I do think they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. Their defense is pretty bad, so he might be just like a high-volume kind of passer. As long as he's healthy, he's going to be a pretty decent QB2. Let's go ahead and get Jordan Love and Kenny Pickett in here next. With Jordan Love, I know a lot of people are skeptical of his ability, but I think he's going to be just fine. He does have some hidden upside with his rushing ability. I could see him rushing for maybe 300 yards and a touchdown or two, you know, adding on a couple points each game with his legs. And it's a young pass-catching group, but Packers got a pretty soft division. You know, he might be pretty useful here, and I like him as a QB2. And then kind of the same thing with Kenny Pickett. He's got some upside with his legs. I expect him to have a big year of growth going into year 2. I like his passing weapons with Deontay, George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth. Najee's there as a pass catcher, so is Jaylen Warren. There's a lot to like there. I think both Love and Pickett are underrated QB2s this year. And then I'm going to sneak Brock Purdy in here into the end of that 5th tier because as long as Purdy's healthy and good to go week 1, the dude is going to average, you know, almost 2 passing touchdowns a game. We love the weapons in San Francisco. We love the play calling there. So that is the 5th tier of quarterbacks for me. And then we're down here with a lot of question marks. Kyler Murray might not play the full season. He's not going to play the full season. I'm going to put him here at the beginning of tier 6 because he's a guy where, sure, if you draft, say you draft Tua and you grab Kyler Murray, if Kyler Murray comes back week 5 or 6 or something, you might have something there in case Tua gets hurt. So I like Murray. He's not going to run as much as he did, the previous years when he was healthy, but I expect him to play, you know, whether it's week 4, 5, or 6, somewhere in that range, he should be on the field. And then we got a bunch of unknowns here. Bryce Young, Sam Howell, CJ Stroud. I'm going to put CJ Stroud here next. I think he is set up to succeed in the Texans offense. You got Dameon Pierce to run the ball. You got some weapons in Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, John Mechie is there, Tank Dell, Robert Woods. I think it's a good core around CJ Stroud. And then Bryce Young I'm going to put next right away. Bryce Young's not going to run the ball as much as you would think, but they did surround him with enough talent offensively. They have a decent offensive line. I like their defense too, but they went and got some weapons. Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, Terrace Marshall Jr. still there. They drafted Jonathan Mingo. They brought in Hayden Hurst. There's a decent enough veterans around him to be competent this year. And Miles Sanders out of the backfield too is not a bad option. Up next, I'm going to put Sam Howell, the complete unknown. We do not know what we're getting here, but Sam Howell's got some sneaky rushing upside with his legs. He had a huge final season rushing the ball in college. I think he could be a guy that rushes for 400 or 500 yards and kind of he's going to be like a poor man's Daniel Jones. I think he could be really good in this Commanders offense. And we like Eric Bieniemy at the OC position. We like the weapons, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel. I'm not sure what they're doing at tight end, but I love the running backs there too. Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson catching passes. And again, this is still the 6th tier. I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to put Mac Jones here. I don't feel great about it, but we'll put Mac Jones at 28. I'm going to put Ryan Tannehill here and Desmond Ridder at 29 and 30. So that's my tier 6 of quarterbacks. Kyler Murray, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Sam Howell, Mac Daddy Jones, Ryan Tannehill, and Desmond Ridder. And then we get to the bottom of the barrel. Don't know what's happening here. We'll put Jimmy Garoppolo and Baker Mayfield at 31 and 32. These guys don't have long leashes. Jimmy Garoppolo's got the busted foot. Not sure how long he's going to play. I don't trust him, but he could be nice. If he's healthy week 1, I'm probably going to rank him higher in like a weekly ranking. He might be up here with the rookies, but for now, he's not a guy I want season long. Baker Mayfield is going to have to deal with Kyle Trask behind him. And then the ADP is not really listing all these guys here, but let's go ahead. Let's just add Trey Lance in case he gets brought into duties. Really, we shouldn't be drafting these guys here at the bottom of this list. It's all kind of ugly. I'll put Sam Darnold here. Carson Wentz might sign somewhere. We'll put him here. I do believe Heineke is the backup for Desmond Ridder if that goes bad. Jacoby Brissett is the backup in Washington. I don't know why he's in Cleveland there, but he's the backup in Washington if Howell's no good. I do want to get is Mike White on the list? Yeah, let's get Mike White because he's Tua's backup. He'll be useful if Tua goes down. And then one more QB here. Am I missing anybody? I'm probably missing somebody here from this list, guys, but overall, it doesn't really matter. I'll just throw Jameis Winston in here in case Carr goes down. But that's the final tier, and let's just recap it for you guys. The tier number 1 QBs are Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen. Tier 2 is a little bit longer. Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, and Justin Fields. Tier 3, even longer. That ranges from Deshaun Watson, Tua Tagovailoa, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, Dak Prescott, Geno Smith, Jared Goff. That's the end of tier 3. Tier 4 begins with Anthony Richardson, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Derek Carr. You got one rookie who runs the ball, and then you got 3 pocket passers in there. Tier number 5 is, we ended it there. Matthew Stafford, Jordan Love, Kenny Pickett, and Brock Purdy. Tier number 6 is Kyler Murray, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Sam Howell, Mac Jones, Ryan Tannehill, and Desmond Ridder. Hopefully you don't have to rely on any of these guys in one QB leagues. They're more so for Superflex or best ball. And then the final tier is Jimmy Garoppolo, Baker Mayfield, and then just a bunch of guys who are not starting here. But that's it. That is the QB rankings video. Again, you guys can view all of this stuff on thefantasyfellowship.com. I'm going to put a link to the QB rankings in here so you guys can check them out for yourself. But hey, that was fun. Don't forget to check out some of the other videos I'm going to be putting out. I'm going to be doing the running backs, the wide receivers, and tight end videos throughout the rest of the weekend. So look out for those. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Peace.